this will be going up on, so I'm not even going to attempt to say the number, but welcome back. And today I'm going to be wrapping up November, which there is not much to report on. I read 5 books, and I say 5 books barely because one of those was a 5-hour audiobook. So a 5-hour audiobook I think is probably like a little over 200 pages. And then the other one was like a 200-page book. November was not a great reading month for me. I think it was like I was coming down off the Victober wave and just had lost a lot of excitement and energy. And unfortunately, I'm very sad to say I was not in the right headspace for Nonfiction November. It was going well at first, and then I just got tired of fighting it. And every time I sat down to read, kind of having to motivate myself, and I just ended up taking it easy and reading some mysteries. But I didn't want to read. I could have read more mysteries in the month, but I didn't want to burn out because of Cloak and Dagger Christmas coming up. So it was just a so-so month. I do still plan to finish Elizabeth Gaskell's biography, and that I haven't made much progress on it, but I just want to read it slowly and savor it, and I'm okay taking a long time with that. And then I'm planning on reading Meadowland, the natural history book by John Lewis Semple, and finishing that maybe the very end of the year or beginning of next year. I think that would be a really nice time to read it. And over the course of the winter at some point, I do want to read Wild Swans. I was surprised at how many people, when I had it on my Nonfiction November TBR, said that they loved Wild Swans, and just made me even more interested in it. So it's not going away. The Dorothy Sayers essay book, I think it's not the right stage of my life for. I just, maybe just, a mom with small children and just feeling how I have been, I just think it's not the right time for it. So I'm keeping it and saving it, for when maybe I'm feeling more academic in my reading year, and setting it down though, giving myself permission to set it down. So the one nonfiction book that I finished in the month, like I said, I'm really sad and I don't know how that happened, but Thanksgiving was in there. So like packing for Thanksgiving and all of that, I don't know, maybe threw things off. But the one that I did finish was Surviving and Thriving with an Invisible Chronic Illness, How to Stay Sane and Live One Step Ahead of Your Symptoms by Alana Jacqueline. Now, I heard about this on another person's Nonfiction November TBR, who unfortunately I can't remember her channel name. Her name is Amy, and I can't remember her channel name. So anyhow, this was a really interesting read, and I felt a lot of solidarity as I was listening to it, because there are just a lot of people out there who have really vague symptoms that could be a lot of things. This mainly addressed just autoimmune diseases, which are really vague and hard to diagnose. And you see a lot of people trying to get them diagnosed. So I thought it was really good for me at the very beginning of this journey with chronic illness to read it and hear a veteran's experience of kind of her journey to a diagnosis. But then she also talks about, don't, really get your hopes up for getting a diagnosis, that like all your problems will go away once you do have one. Sometimes it really helps and sometimes it doesn't, because some of these are just newly discovered autoimmune diseases. And so they're still learning how to treat people with them and how to help people. The other aspect that I wish had been in this book was someone who's a parent of small children, because she talks about how, on her flare-up days, when she's feeling like she has the flu, she stays in bed. And I thought, well, that would be nice if that was an option for me, but it's not. I have 2 little people to take care of. So that's one aspect that I wish had been in there, but that's just not the stage of her life that she's in. And actually, she talked about she wasn't totally sure if she would be able to have children safely. So it was, touched on a little bit, but just, I really liked it. It talked about being kind to yourself and resting, when you need to rest, and just not making people think that you're making it all up, and just how to still cultivate and manage friendships like this. And it was really good in that aspect. So overall, I did enjoy it. Next were two in the Her Royal Spyness mystery series by Rhys Bowen. These were books 4 and 5. So Royal Blood and Naughty and Niece. I really enjoyed both of these. I'm just finding more and more what a consolation and just they just cheer me, these cozy mysteries. So in Royal Blood, Georgie travels to Romania because an old friend from school is getting married and has asked for Georgie to be there. And so, of course, our main cast of characters sort of just miraculously all end up at this castle in Romania. It's these books are very contrived, and I'm very okay with that because they do what I want them to do. They do what I'm expecting them to do. And along with that, there is, she's worrying about whether there are vampires at the castle in Romania and whether, whether there's like a ghost that haunts the castle and things. So it was a whole lot of fun. But even more fun was Naughty and Niece. And this is the first cozy in a long time that I gave 4 stars to. As much as I love mysteries, I actually am pretty stingy with giving out 4 stars and rarely give out 5 stars. So 4 stars means it was a really good mystery. And I really enjoyed this one. Georgie goes to Nice because the Queen has asked her to retrieve a stolen snuff box. And someone is there who, you can tell by his name, Sir Toby Groper, that he's not the best person to be around. So Georgie is sent to retrieve the snuff box. And while she's there, all of the people in her life that she knows end up being in Nice at the same time. And like I said, I don't mind it though. I adore this series so much. And while she's there, of course, a murder happens and she has to investigate and figure out who committed the crime. There's also some personal progression with Georgie and her relationships. And I think I enjoyed the character development in this one, kind of getting to know different side characters more. And it was just such a delight. So now that I finished that, I can move on to the 12 Clues of Christmas in the series, which is the 6th one. So yes, it's definitely a favorite cozy series of mine. Next, a mystery that I thoroughly enjoyed, and that was The Mitford Murders by Jessica Fellowes. This is the very first in a new series. The second book has just come out a few months ago, and this is a series that is going to involve the Mitford sisters in some way with each crime. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how Jessica Fellowes manages that, how she has them come into each book, how she has them involved with the crimes. In this one, you see it starts out with the main character who is living at home and they really don't have much money, and she's living with an uncle who is really kind of an unsavory character, and she really wants to get out of there. And she ends up being able to accept a position as a lady's maid with the Mitford family. And while she's there, someone has disappeared. Not someone has disappeared. Someone has been murdered on a train. And that case, she becomes kind of involved with that case somehow through different circumstances, and helping people to figure it out, working with the police in different ways. So yeah, it was just a really pacey mystery that was, I'd say it's a historical mystery is the category I would give it. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. I was really kept on my toes, and the audiobook of this was excellent. That's how I read this, and I really liked it. Then lastly, a bit of a bummer in the Mary Stewart camp, and we read The Wind Off the Small Isles and The Lost One. This was a kind of 2 novellas that might have actually been short stories. The first one was an unpublished novella called The Wind Off the Small Isles, and The Lost One was a short story that had been published once a long time ago, and people had kind of forgotten about it. But I think there's a reason Mary Stewart did not publish The Wind Off the Small Isles. It felt like kind of a sketch of an idea for a novel. It was around 60 pages, I think. And yeah, it was not anywhere near her standards in her other books. So it was fine. It was adequate, but definitely nowhere near, any of her other books. So that is the little bit that I read in November. I'm really hoping to have more wind in my sails this month for Cloak and Dagger Christmas, which right now I feel that I do. And I will just be very willing to set down any book that I'm not feeling motivated to read. Every book has its time and its reader, so I'm just going to go with that philosophy. I hope you guys enjoyed hearing about those books, and I will see you tomorrow for another Vlogmas video. Bye.